TMail is an email-like service that massively increases collaborative productivity. In this series of videos, we are going to walk through the basics of using TMail. We will use the fictitious company awesome.com and 3 users, namely Ron Smith, the sales representative, Jill Brady, the sales manager, and Kevin Jones, the product manager. Acme Corporation has just sent Ron a request for a proposal. The 3 users will use TMail to collaborate on this sales opportunity. Let's first log in as Ron. Notice that a TMail address looks very similar to an email address. The main difference is that instead of an @ symbol, we use the $ symbol as the separator. The TMail user interface is organized very similarly to common email user interfaces. At the top, there are controls to create a new TMail, to search TMails, to browse the TMail store, and to log out. Ron can click on his name to view his user profile and preferences. In the leftmost column, we have a set of folders. When a folder is selected, the messages it contains are displayed here. When a message is selected, the corresponding TMail is shown on the right-hand side. A TMail is similar to an entire email thread rather than an individual email message. A TMail is made up of a series of comments. Whenever comments are added, messages are sent to all the writers on the TMail. These messages initially appear in the inbox message folder. There are 2 kinds of folders, namely TMail message folders and TMail handle folders. Messages refer to a specific comment in a TMail, whereas handles refer to the entire TMail. These are 2 alternative views into the same TMail. Now Ron has just received a request for proposal from Acme Corporation. He decides to send a TMail to Kevin Jones, the product manager, regarding this. He clicks on the New TMail button to bring up the New TMail tab. Notice that we have users called writers, a subject, attachments, and a comment just like a normal email. We also have this area on the right that we refer to as a section. Sections are just like attachments, except that they are updatable and versioned. They are one of the key elements of TMail. For now, we will just leave this section blank. Ron adds Kevin as a writer. He adds a subject and a comment. He then clicks on Send to send the TMail. Now that we have sent this TMail, let's log in as Kevin. We can see here that Kevin has received this TMail from Ron. Kevin sends a quick reply to Ron by typing in the inline comment box and hitting send. Now let's switch back to Ron. We can see that Kevin's reply has come. Notice that currently the previous message is selected on the left-hand side. The previous message is not the latest message in this TMail. Whenever a non-latest message is selected on the left-hand side, the right-hand side shows various elements highlighted in orange, indicating that you are not looking at the latest version. So let's select the latest message. Now you can see that the orange indicators have disappeared. Ron decides to go ahead and add information regarding the opportunity. He clicks on Update Sections, which allows him to create or update various sections. He uses sections instead of attachments because he knows they will be updated and it will be important to have them all synchronized at their latest versions. Additionally, he wants to ensure that none of them inadvertently edit a non-latest version of a section. As you can see from this drop-down menu, there are 4 types of sections. These are text, grid, form, and file sections. Grid sections are table-like sections. File sections are used for files such as Word, Excel, images, PDFs, etc. Every TMail has a default section, which is a text section. Ron uses it to create an overview of the sales cycle. Ron then adds a file section for the RFP. He then adds a text section to list the expected competition. Notice that every section has a title. In this case, the title is Competition. Note that as we add or modify sections in a comment, this right column shows whether the section has been added, deleted, or modified. If, while one is editing sections, some other user modifies sections in the parent email, then the left-hand column will indicate that. He then adds a file section for the sales presentation. He then adds a grid section for the tasks. Recall that a grid section is used to represent tabular information. Ron also adds Jill, the sales manager, so that she can add her input to the sales strategy. With TMail, you can also directly add email addresses. For example, we could add joe@gmail.com. Note the @ symbol that shows that this is an email address. When an email is added as a writer, an email is sent to that address. The email user can view the message in their email inbox. However, in order to interact with the TMail, they would have to click on an embedded link to register with TMail. Anyway, for now we won't add an email addressee to this TMail. Notice that all of the new sections, section updates, added attachments, the comment text, and added writers will be sent as a single action. This is critically important because it allows the TMail to proceed from one meaningful state to another. It also minimizes excessive notifications. Ron then sends this comment. We can see here that all of Ron's changes were added as a single comment. Also notice that every comment has a comment number. This allows comments also to be easily referred to. Notice at the top here that every TMail has a unique tracking number. The tracking number or URL can easily be copied to the clipboard by clicking on these buttons. From there, they can be pasted to places like other TMails, text messages, apps, spreadsheets, etc. In this way, TMails are not hard to locate pieces of content like emails. Instead, they can be tied into the broader enterprise ecosystem. Ron copies the URL for the Acme Sales Cycle TMail and pastes it into the company's customer relationship management system. Additionally, Ron is done with this TMail for now. He moves it out of his inbox into the waiting folder by using the archive all plus add tracker action. This archives all the messages related to this TMail and also creates a special kind of message called a tracker message and places it in the waiting folder. The tracker message refers to a TMail as a whole rather than point to a specific comment in the TMail. Messages initially arrive in the inbox. Messages can be dealt with individually, but it is better to archive them and use a special tracker message to track the whole TMail instead. Messages can be moved from the inbox to the backlog, on deck, waiting, and archive folders. The backlog folder is used for messages that Ron will work on in the future. The on deck folder is used for messages that Ron is currently working on. The waiting folder is used for messages where Ron is waiting for a response or some other event. And finally, the archive folder is used for messages that Ron is done with. Meanwhile, Jill adds a comment with the pricing section added and the task sections updated. Kevin also updates the RFP and task sections. Notice that these messages are pushed to the user interface. The user does not have to refresh. This circle here, if solid green, indicates that the user is receiving push notifications. As you can see here, on every comment, Ron can see exactly what has been changed. Now Jill learns that Ultra Corporation has dropped out of the running and Nimble Corporation is now in the sales cycle. She realizes that the entire strategy needs to be revamped. She updates the competition, pricing, and task sections to reflect the changed competitive landscape. She updates the pricing section, she updates the tasks section, she adds comment text, she clicks on send to send all the changes as a single new comment. Ron receives the new message. He clicks on the diff icon on the tasks section to see what Jill has changed. He also clicks on the diff icon on the competition section to see the new competitive landscape. After systematically running their sales cycle in TMail and rapidly and coherently reacting to the changing competitive landscape, Awesome is able to outdistance the competition and win the Acme sales cycle.